school. For those of you all who do not know me, welcome to the free astrotheology class, all right? Our textbook is The Gospel and the Zodiac, The Secret Truth About J.C., the Christ Figure. The author is Bill Darrell-El. So take a look at the book. All right. So we are on the who is the man with the water jar? That's Aquarius. Okay. Who is the man with the water jar? And y'all should know, if you've been following me, you already know this. The man with the water jar is the zodiac sign Aquarius, and Aquarius is the age, the zodiac age that follows Pisces. So, when the disciples asked JC, where are they going to go next, right? Remember the topic was, when will the end of the world be? Which is a mistranslation, intentional mistranslation. The correct, or more appropriate translation is, when is the end of the age? The age, right? The age. JC told them to go into the house, into the constellation, into the zodiac sign, go into the house of the man carrying a water jug. Let me show you Aquarius. Aquarius is the man carrying the water jug, okay? Now, if y'all want more on this, y'all can download our textbook, or watch the videos that I've done on Aquarius, okay? But let me find the page, and I'll show you an image of Aquarius, okay? So give me 1 second. Aquarius is on page 189. Okay, page 189. In 1 moment. All right. So here is Aquarius. Y'all see? See the water jug in Aquarius's hand? Now you can't tell if that's a man or a woman. That's because it's androgynous. Okay, if it is androgynous, it is very likely to be what? A hybrid. A hybrid. Genesis chapter 1. That creature from the genetic engineering experiment produced an hermaphrodite. That means both sex organs present. T. Garnett writes, "My phone's going to die." Charge it back up. I'll be on here for an hour or two, or somewhere between there. But I do appreciate you showing up. So do y'all see the significance of this? Why is this significant? Because women did not carry water. It is a humiliation for a man to carry water. Y'all got that? Now when you understand the story of Aquarius pouring water down onto the earth, that water gets saturated into the soil. That's right, Mother Earth, the soil soaks up the water. The womb of a woman accepts the sperm of a man, and the man's sperm implants into the already prepared uterus. All right? And then you get the growth and development of a baby. Everybody see what's happening here? Mother Earth soaks up the moisture, the water, and then vegetation and other life forms have water and minerals, and now they can begin to do what? To reproduce the next generation. Okay? So in a patriarchal system, the patriarchal system that we are in now, Aquarius is represented as an androgynous man. This is where the concept of father, capital G-O-D, the father, has its origin. I believe the Hindi deity's name is Rain. Y'all got that? So the father's sperm, the father's water, his fluid, pours down into Mother Earth's womb. Right? And then babies are born. Everybody see that? Clear? Is it clear? All right. So, Aquarius, the image of Aquarius needs to be corrected. It needs to be corrected. So, is it Mama Universe? Pouring water down, DBS. Oh, hey, how you doing, Cheryl? Good morning. Good morning to you. No, good evening. Good evening there. For all of y'all Moors, y'all know that in Vietnam, they do like this, just like in ancient times. We did like this. All right. Oh, where was I? Oh, so is it Mama Universe? Is it Mama Universe? And then Mama Earth? Or is that metaphor completely inappropriate? Well, it will take study and contemplation, right? To come to... Actually, all we really need to do is look back in time and see how our ancient ancestors dealt with this. That would be the first step, all right? T. Garnett writes, my dad was in Vietnam. Okay, yeah. There's a Vietnam museum. There's a Vietnam War museum in Ho Chi Minh City. You can see the old planes and helicopters and, you know, all of those kind of things here. And I've come across some people, and I can understand this, who they could look at me and tell that I'm American, right? They didn't like me. But I understand that. They have every right to. You know, they don't know me from Adam. They just know what happened to them. But for the most part, people don't think about it. And I'll tell y'all another thing I learned since I've been here. The U.S. says that it lost the war. It did not lose the war. The U.S. won the Vietnam War. And I gained great insight when I realized this. The U.S. won the war, but they lied to the people, well, to the U.S. citizens. They lied to the U.S. citizens and said they lost the war. Why would they do that? They did that to get an emotional response and to gain public support to pour more money into the military-industrial complex. So once you know that, but we should know it anyway, right? Because those people who are in power, with those hybrids and their minions, what are they? You go back to Genesis chapter 1. What do they use? They use psychological warfare as well as physical warfare to manipulate. All right? In other words, I'm saying that they lied. Yeah, T. Garnett writes he doesn't talk about it. Yeah, they did some horrible things over here. Some really horrible things. Also in Cambodia, they did some really horrible things in Cambodia, but you see, they did it in our name. They didn't do it in the name of the European nations from which they came. They did it in the name of America, and they are not Americans, they are colonists. Regardless of if they have their family have been in the Americas for 100 years, 50 years, 200 years, they are still foreign colonists, right? Because nationality is established by bloodline, not by where you are born. Just go to China and you'll see that, all right? And that is not something you can just legislate. There's a difference between nationality and being naturalized, all right? There's a huge difference. And all of this is about birthright. I wish y'all could have been at Zion at my class yesterday. Saturday, 10 a.m., the 506 The Curses course. The link is in the discussion area of this video. I wish y'all would have been there because I demonstrated, but not as much as I would have liked to because we didn't have enough time. But I demonstrated how to use natural law and astrology / astrotheology / cosmology. I demonstrated how to use it and I showed it in the Constitution. Also in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Also in certain legal principles, fundamental or elementary legal principles. All of this is based in Scripture. They don't call it the Judeo-Christian system or judicial system for nothing. So my message to the scholars in class yesterday was that if you understand astrotheology, if you understand Ancient Ibaryath, if you understand natural law, then all of this stuff comes together and you will be able to handle your own affairs. Y'all understand? You'll be able to understand your own, handle your own affairs when it comes to dealing with the foreign, hybrid, troglodyte, Paleolithic colonists. Y'all hear me? You'll be able to handle, in other words, what I'm trying to say is that you can get your inheritance back. Clear? You get it back. That means no more poverty. That means no more working and they take everything you have. No more beat downs at a traffic stop. That means getting respect when you encounter them and others. All right? So if y'all come to my 506 Curses course on Saturday, next week, I'll show you more. All right? I'll show you. See, one of these scholars, DVS writes, Victoria said, "You're so smart." Oh, thank you, Victoria. You're so sweet. Thank you so much. But actually, you are more brilliant than I am. And I know that because I've known you since before you came out of your mom's womb. And me and your father, well, I was there to help teach you and educate you from birth. So I know how brilliant you are. But thank you so much. And that's true. That's true. Cheryl, tell Victoria how brilliant she was. When David and I used to teach her how to read, when we read with her, we did everything. I bet you Victoria, school is very easy for you right now, right? Maybe you're bored in school right now, right? But anyway, let me come back to those were some of the best memories of my life. So it's such an honor to know you, Victoria. Okay, y'all. What I'm trying to say, scholars, is that when you understand the concepts of natural law, and you understand the Gospels in terms of the natural phenomena and principles that govern the natural phenomena. That would mean the zodiac, right? The zodiac, the sun, the zodiac, and the seasons. And the impact of cosmic energy on mass psychology. When you understand these things, then you can go and read and interpret the so-called ancient documents and present day legal or lawful doctrines, and understand them and use them to your benefit, which you cannot do right now. Number one, you're not in your proper status. Tea garnet rice ready. Excellent. So this all came about because someone asked me about the Circle 7 Quran used by the Moorish Science Temple. And in that Circle 7 Quran, they have a lot of text dealing with JC, the Christ figure. That's Jesus. Okay, and for many people, that's a contradiction because they think that the Moors are Muslim. Okay, now I'm not a member of the Moorish Science Temple. I'm speaking lawfully and historically. I'm talking about nature. But a Moor is just a man or a woman who is sprung from the soil. That's it. That's a lawful definition. That's also the definition given at Genesis chapter 2, verse 7, which is different from Genesis chapter 1. Created creature from the engineering project carried out by the Elohim. These Elohim were Moors. They may have been accompanied by, and by the way, this is the Yaqub story. So Yaqub, and he had 12 female scientists / engineers, genetic engineers working with him. Now, were they, so 12, right? That sounds like the 12 Zodiacs and 12 apostles. Right? Now, were there Raphaim on that team? Or Dogon on that team? I don't know. I wasn't there. I'm sharing with you right now the Moorish history of it. Tea garnet rice, yes, what? Y'all see what I'm saying? So that created creature came out as having both reproductive organs present, hermaphrodite. All right? Both. Now, in those kind of situations, one may be more developed than the other, or they may be both equally undeveloped. Hence, you get the androgynous appearance, which is what I'm trying to get to right now. This image of Aquarius. So androgyny is not natural, right? It's if it occurs naturally, it is a genetic problem. If it occurs naturally, okay. But in this case that we're talking about with Genesis chapter 1, it did not occur naturally. It occurred as a mistake, right? Or a problem with the genetic engineering outcome that they were looking for. Is it clear, y'all? In that project, according to the Moorish history, they used the egg of a Moabite woman. This would be a woman who is sprung from the soil and who has brown to dark brown, well, anywhere, who is, let's just say, melanated, any shade of melanation. It could be from light to dark. Who knows? I wasn't there. right? But they used her egg and injected it or fertilized it with the sperm of a chimpanzee. The chimpanzee that has the black hair. The one that has the black hair, right? That's the most aggressive of the chimpanzees. I don't remember the scientific name of it. But for purposes of this discussion, that's suitable. So now you have a hybrid, right? You have a half chimpanzee, half woman. I'm talking about the created creature in Genesis chapter 1. Now when you look back into history, you'll see a created creature called Han-Uman. Han-Uman. Remove the an in Han and you get human. But anyway, that created creature Han-Uman is in history half man, half monkey. Y'all Google search it. And there was an army of them in the Americas. There's been discovered actually a site where the Han-Uman were, and a statue of it. All right, so this is exactly what we learn in Moorish history or Moorish science, the history that they preserve. They are also memorialized in mythology over in India, or that part of the world, Han-Uman, half man, half monkey deity. Right? Is it clear? Oh, T. Garner says 12 Zodiac. Y'all see, so everybody sees what's happening here. And this created creature was modified and continuously modified. Okay, but it had the desires of an animal, but some of the intellect of a man. But in law, a human, if y'all look this up in a good law dictionary, a human in law is called a monster. A human is a monster by lawful definition. I have this posted, I think in one of my community posts. You can see all of this information. So in law, a human is a monster and cannot inherit land. In contradistinction to the autochthonous Moor, which is not a religion, it's not a club, it's not a camp. It's just those men and women who are sprung from the soil. They were given a land grant. And in law, there is a fundamental principle that land and law go together. Land and law go together. Land is the substance and subject matter of the law. This is why your nationality, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality. Why? Because it connects you to the land. And the land, once you're connected to the land, you have established that you have a birthright or birthrights. Shorten that up, rights, natural rights, common law. Y'all with me? That's the first thing. So what does that mean? That means that the law is whatever you say it is. But it comes with the requirement of you to behave honorably. But all of this stuff is in the contract. And when you behave dishonorably, like for example, when you disrespect your foremothers and forefathers, your ancient foremothers and forefathers, which we see is a law, a commandment in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your mothers and your fathers so that it may go well with you. When you dishonor them by not keeping the Most High's commandments, which are natural law, the principle or natural law of cause and effect will go into action against you. Against you. These are the curses. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 through 68 outlines the curses. Okay? Clear? Now, when you deny your nationality, that's dishonoring. For example, imagine you have an heir. By heir, I mean you have a baby. Let's say you have a baby. That baby grows up and says, no, that's not my mother. That's not my father. I don't know them. Clear? That's the height of disrespect. But let's say you have a trust. And in that trust, there are many riches. But because they denied their blood relation to you, they cannot access the riches in the trust. Is that clear? This is exactly what's happening. So it's not racism that's the issue. People think this all over the world. I don't care if they call you black, if they call you Pinoy, Pinay, Filipino, anybody who has brown skin will experience or has experienced what people call racism. But it is not that, it is land theft. Land theft through corporate nation states. Okay, and at the top of this is the Catholic Church. Okay? It's the Catholic Church, which owns all of the nation states and corporations. So when you get into all of this, it's all astrological. I don't have enough time to go over all of it right now, but y'all watch the videos. But in the book of the law that I'm asking everyone to support with your finance, whether it's Mexican pesos, Canadian dollars, US dollars, whatever country you're in, support the project to write the book of the law back into Ancient Ibaryath and then into modern English. And I'll put all of this natural law, concepts and principles back in. I'll give you an example. Going back to how we got on this topic yesterday in our class. Somebody asked, or made a comment, I don't remember, about the Circle 7 Bible and it having all of this stuff about Jesus in it. So I brought to their attention that the stuff about Jesus is really nature and natural law. So if you understand astrology and astrotheology, you can then interpret those stories about Jesus. And you can derive the natural law, principle, and concept that is there, but that is hidden for most people, because it may be dangerous for you if they knew what you're doing. Y'all understand? Not everybody wants to see you lifted up and get free. Is it clear? This is why the ancient Coptic Egyptians preserved the knowledge of the cosmos in the text that we call the Gospels. But they wrote it as a metaphorical story because the Catholics and their minions, who at that time were autochthonous Moors and hybrids, who were seeking to control, dominate, and take over the world. And they would do it through violence and other means. I'm going to get to that. So what the ancient, who are our ancestors? Who are our ancestors? For those of y'all who don't know, ancient Egypt is in the Americas. And the pyramids over on the other side of the pond, those are very young compared to the pyramids and the mounds in the Americas. And we have literally thousands of them. Many have been uncovered, but many have been hidden or flooded out. Flooded so that no one can see them, or forests have been allowed to grow to hide them. But that's not my point. My point is this. The ancient Coptic Egyptians wrote the Gospels, not as you see them now, but they wrote the Gospels to hide for the purpose of preserving the knowledge of the cosmos. Then, the Gospels were taken up into Europe, and they were translated into Latin, edited in the process. They were translated out of Coptic Egyptian, where they were purely astrological. It was not historical. It was a metaphorical story that if you knew the cipher, you could see, learn, and study the knowledge of the cosmos that was hidden. T. Gardner writes, yes, feel so much love towards ancestors. Indeed. If you think that's phenomenal, the Constitution for the United States, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, these are directly connected. I don't know if anyone has ever said this. I don't know if anyone, I'll go ahead and say it. These are directly connected to Deuteronomy, chapter 30, to the blessings. They are directly connected to the blessings. And I kind of went over that yesterday, but I've done it in my classes. I've never said it publicly before. So there you have it. Although you probably don't have a clue what I'm talking about or how that can be so. T. Garnett writes, interesting. All of this is about nationality and keeping the Most High's commandments. See, once you keep the Most High's commandments, that will be shown in your thinking, in your behavior, and in your speech. Speech is jurisdiction. Speech indicates to listeners what law language you speak, what law applies to you, what law applies to you. There's either natural law, there's natural law. If you follow the Most High's commandments, you will receive all of these physical, tangible gifts, in addition to nobility and status. Whereas to break natural law is to go against natural law, right? Now y'all should know that Christ, did y'all know he changed the laws? Did y'all know that? Go check it. But to go against natural law violates natural law, right? Christianity goes against nature. the doctrines in Christianity goes against nature. Let me give you one example. Christianity wants you to worship an external deity called JC, the Christ figure. But in nature, if you understand natural law, you understand that you are your own savior. If you don't believe me, go read Psalms chapter 82, verse 6, and it says, and you are gods. All of you are gods. Was he talking to the hybrid? Absolutely not. Did JC say out of his own mouth, scholars, that all of you are gods? Did he? He absolutely did. Absolutely did. So to go outside of yourself and look for someone else who you've never seen before, who you have no evidence that ever existed other than your belief, and you're going to go pray and think that your situation is going to change consistently over the course of your lifetime? Absolutely not. Y'all be honest. What percentage of your prayers have been answered? Be honest. Have you gotten everything that you pray for, or are you still looking for reasons why, what you need to do differently to get what you've been praying for? Well, your situation is just like everybody else's. Okay? Which is why our people, now I'm not talking about Moors in America only. I'm talking about more autochthonous people everywhere around the world. That's why we continue to suffer. Why? Because we're violating natural law. We're looking for a deity to save us instead of looking inside, using the apparatus and faculties of our mind to save ourselves. T. Garner, I don't know what those numbers mean. Can you? I've been out of the country for a long time. I don't. I'm not up on a lot of things. So break that down for me. Y'all follow what I'm saying to you? What I'm saying to you is this: if you use your mind, break out of the trap, the bondage of religion and religious doctrine, and start to use your intelligent mind to get what you want. And I'll give you the process. I'll give you the process. Let me rephrase that. I will give you the procedure. Develop an obsession. An obsession. It's easy. Well, no. It depends on what it is, and it depends on your personality. See, we can develop an obsession through creating desire, intense desire. So what is it that you want? All right, you've got to build desire for it. And that would be what? Seeing it, touching it, experiencing it. Get as close to it as you possibly can. Think about it, talk about it. Get people who don't believe in you or who are negative about it out of your life. Cut them out. People who don't support you, who think you're crazy for wanting that. Cut them out. Learn to obsess over it. And in that process, plan your action steps, your milestones, your goals. Put a deadline on them. Have a contingency plan. Plan A and B. Right? Find people who can help you. Decide up front what you're willing to do for those people to influence them, to help you, or to continue helping you. So you work that plan. Work that plan. And persist until you get it. That's how to get anything. That's the whole enchilada about this thing they call manifesting. All right? So I just told y'all how to activate and operate what people are calling, or what I refer to rather, as your God faculty. You'll hear people who are involved in time management and goal setting, you'll hear them call it the reticular activating system. All right? So once you learn how to do that, that will force you to cooperate with people. That'll force you to cooperate with people. Now, can you make it to the top by stabbing people in the back, robbing and stealing? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. But you'll pay for it, either in bad health, bad relationships, depression, worry. Just depends on how you want to live. But you certainly won't have peace of mind. But unless someone has a personality disorder, most people, normal people rather, let me put it like that, normal people want to have good relationships. You can have everything, but if you don't have good relationships, you really have nothing. Everybody you deal with is a transaction. You got to watch your back. All right? But anyway, but my point is this. My point is this. Everything in nature, natural phenomena, and the principles that govern the natural phenomena, this is the Most High's laws, and it's written all throughout the book of the law, but it has been hidden. Our oppressors are using natural law against us. Primarily the natural law of cause and effect. See, they're using it to support themselves by getting you to break natural law and destroy yourself, because nature, the law of cause and effect, will handle you. Y'all see that? So y'all keep on living your life off of these religious doctrines. You'll continue to get a beat down. You'll continue to have these corporate entities develop public policies to crush you and to humiliate you, to destroy your image of yourself, to genocide your families. Everything that y'all see that's happening in the States right now, that's not by mistake. And many of y'all are responsible for it. Why? Because you continue to violate natural law. You continue to violate or break the Most High's commandments, which will get you cursed, punished, according to the contract that in religion y'all call the Ten Commandments or the Law of Moses. All right, so I'm trying to tell y'all that these religious stuff is a remix of natural law. All right, so let's go back to it. Wherever we were, we need to get going on Aquarius. Not Aquarius, on who is the man with the jar of water. I got off on a tangent, y'all, my bad. But let me get myself, what page are we on? Any questions about anything that I've brought to your attention right now? I can check the chat. while I look for the page. If you have any questions, if I'm able to answer it, I will. I don't know everything, okay? So if I tell you I don't know, I don't know. Okay, I think we are on page, T. Garnett writes, yup, that's it. All right, so let me, see, let me say this to y'all. Let me say this to y'all. When you master the 7 liberal arts, you get a very good basic education. And it's my position that every more should strive to get that, either in a university or on their own. And that your heirs, y'all might think this sounds crazy, and that your heirs should have at least a bachelor's degree level education, if not graduate with a bachelor's degree by the time they're 14 or 15 years old. It's very possible. It's very possible. Very possible. Y'all got to remember, our ancestors studied for, I believe it was 40 years. Yeah. I believe they went into the so-called mystery schools, right? These were universities, in my opinion. There was no mystery school. And they came out, I believe, at age 47. Something like that. What did they master? They mastered mathematics, medicine, architecture, cosmology, so on and so forth. Literature, writing, speaking and writing. Y'all go check out the 7 liberal arts. So they would have what we would say is a PhD level education. They wouldn't just have one, they'd have 7 or more. Okay, I don't know what they studied back then, but definitely they studied law, medicine, architecture, cosmology, that we call astrology these days, right? It's very possible, very, very possible, very doable. William Dose writes, yes. So we can do this, but are you willing to invest the effort, the energy, and the finance in order to do it? That's really the issue. Are you willing to invest the changes in your behavior and your mentality to be able to do it? Because once we start doing that and we begin to build, let's say we start talking about building a massive structure, or even building a business where we make paper clips and underwear to supply our people, like Dr. Clark said. Our conversations change from debating about religion and religious doctrine to conversations about building businesses and developing our own commerce. All right? And about law, how to protect ourselves using the law. Y'all see how that would change our situation immediately, overnight? Y'all see that? Okay, I'm kind of forgot where I was going with that, but let's try to get into, we're 50 minutes into it, y'all. I think we're on page 9. You know, Victoria, I would sure love to see you again. If you're still watching the video, Victoria was like my child, like my own child. She's my friend's daughter, but we were very close. I was very close with her family. I would sure love that. Okay, page 9. Page 9. Let me just make sure. Oh, no. We're on page 9. We are on gospel discrepancies. Okay, so we're going to get to some good stuff now, y'all. Now we're going to get to some good stuff. Gospel discrepancies. To see JC's story as a collection of spiritual parables frees us from the mental gymnastics involved in trying to explain factual discrepancies within the Gospels. Y'all hear that? Factual discrepancies. That's a nice way of saying what? Somebody lied. In a court of law, we call that fraud. Fraud. And there's no time limit on fraud. Clear? Fraud. To see JC's story as a collection of spiritual parables frees us. In other words, what the author is saying is that when you realize that the Gospels are not historical, they're not historical, frees you. When you realize that, that can free you from the bondage, from the grip of religion. What do I mean by free you from the grip of religion? That means free you from the control of your religious leaders. You may not even be conscious that they are controlling you. But every leader of a church, religious organization, or camp, Hebrew Israelites, these people are the vicar of Christ. That is, they are the Christ, or the substitute, or the representative of Christ. And what they say is the word of God. And those who are close to them, they're bishops, they're whatever they call them, captains, whatever titles, deacons, whatever titles they give. These are the equivalent of the apostles. The apostles are in the inner house, and they are given access. The secrets of the mysteries of the kingdom of God are revealed to those who are in the inner house. Why are they revealed? So that they can be saved. So that they can live fat and large on earth. How are they going to live flat and large and in luxury? Well, that's because you, my friend, all of you are on the outside of the house. You get religion. What is religion? You get the story as it's written in the gospel, as a parable. You get the lie. The religious leader told you, this is across Christianity. When the apostle said, why are you speaking to the people in parables? Can't nobody understand you. You know, we've given up all of our stuff to come follow you, and here you are talking, telling stories that can't nobody understand. And JC, what did he say, y'all? He said, wait a minute. Don't get upset. Let me explain it to you. When people start explaining, you better look out, right? When they start explaining, he said, I speak to them in parables so that they will never understand. And because they never understand, they'll never get the sense of it, so that they can repent and be saved. In other words, JC condemned the masses of the people to burn in hell, if that's your doctrine, or to die without having an opportunity for a resurrection, if that's your doctrine, or to not make it into the kingdom of heaven. Whatever negative outcome there is in your doctrine, that's what he condemned the people to out of his own mouth, but your religious leaders hide that from you. What do they tell you? Here's what they tell you. Your religious leaders, y'all go look it up. Christ spoke in parables because he was trying to make difficult concepts easier to understand. And the way to do that was to speak in parables, agricultural parables, etc., that the people understood, which is a complete contradiction to JC, the Christ figure, what he said himself. Now y'all go check it. And after you check it, I want you to ask yourself, why didn't you see this before you heard me? I'm Dr. Yasapa from Zion Law School. Before you heard me bring it to your attention. Why didn't you perceive it? You've read it, but you never put two and two together. The answer is because you are under a spell, a series of spells. You are blinded. Okay? In your religiousness, you've been blinded. You're under spells. Okay? You cannot see. That's why in their legal system, not law, you are in their legal system. Why? Because you have no nationality. You are a stateless person. You are under the authority of the Dogon, whom the Catholic Church secretly worships. Whom the Pope shows you that by wearing his mitre, half fish, half man. Whom the Hebrew Israelite organizations, the little fish in the pond, they wear their mitre. Who is it? IUIC, one of those organizations, they actually have a Christ figure with the sun in his background, clearly showing you the astrological meaning of the Christ. Solar worship, star worship. Is it clear? So now let's get into what some of these lies are, some of the fraud. Let's call it what it is, fraud. Let's get into some of this New Testament fraud. To see JC's story as a collection of spiritual parables frees us from the mental gymnastics involved in trying to explain factual discrepancies, that's the fraud, within the Gospels, and strange anomalies within the New Testament as a whole. In other words, to believe some of this stuff in the New Testament, you got to be out of your mind. I'm rephrasing it. Now, if y'all are offended, if you can't handle it, if the cognitive dissonance is setting in, you're starting to feel angry, you're calling me a blasphemer, and all of these, I'm inviting you to leave right now. So I don't want to make your blood pressure go up, cause you any type of emotional distress. So feel free to leave. And you can come back later and watch this, okay? If you have the courage to face reality. Let me not say that, that's kind of mean. If you have the courage to investigate further. Point number one, bullet point number one. We're talking about the frauds. Was JC born in the reign of Herod the Great? As Matthew has it, so Matthew said JC, the Christ figure, was born during the reign of Herod the Great. Or when Quirinius, the governor of Syria, ordered a census, as Luke asserts. So Luke says that JC, the Christ figure, was born during the reign of Quirinius, who was the governor of Syria. Okay, so y'all are probably saying, well, maybe these two rulers lived at the same time. Well, let's check it out. In parentheses, it says here, Herod died, Herod the Great died in 4 BCE. Quirinius' census occurred in 6 CE, some 10 years later. Is that clear? So someone has committed perjury. Was it Matthew or Luke? Somebody has committed perjury. So who perjured themselves? Quirinius' census was taken in 6 CE, 10 years later, 10 years after Herod died. Who committed Roro Amani Shalawama? I sent you an email a few weeks ago about the Rainbow Study Bible regarding Leviticus 20. Okay, you know what? I saw it. I'm going to send me another email, and I'm going to give you my phone number. All right? You, or send me your WhatsApp information, and I'll find the files and send it to you on WhatsApp. I don't know if I can find it on my computer. It would be easier for me to do it that way. I got to dig that Bible out. I got to find it. Okay? But wait a minute. It's in the presentation. You can get it's in the presentation that I did. There's a video that I did. It's called "The Moors are the law and the gods on earth," or something like that. I show it in there, so you can do a screenshot. So check that first. But send me an email either way. Let me know if you actually in that video I show you where you'll find estate law. Where you'll find estate law in the book of the law. And other issues regarding land and debt, public debt. Is that okay with you, Roro? So check that video. Moors are the law and the gods on earth, or something like that. So check that first, and then follow up with me with an email. Let me know if you got that, because there's much more in that video. But I'm pretty sure I showed what you're looking for. Okay? So hit me up, and also send me your WhatsApp. Okay, so one of these gentlemen, Roro Amani writes, the photo was not good. It's very hard to read. Oh, you got it out of that video. Okay, so hit me up by email. I'll find it, but send me your WhatsApp, okay? But follow up with me, because my schedule is crazy. But right now, I'm available. But in a few days, I won't be available. Roro writes, I saw the video. I'll send you my WhatsApp. Thank you. Okay, it's my pleasure. My pleasure. All right, so Luke or Matthew committed perjury, fraud. We must treat these investigations as if we are conducting a murder trial, as though we are a trial attorney defending our client against murder charges. Clear? So we deal with facts and evidence and science and law, not with opinions, beliefs, and doctrines or traditions. So let's continue. Bullet point number 2. Did JC cleanse the temple at the beginning of his ministry, as John said, or did JC cleanse the temple at the end of his ministry, as Matthew, Mark, and Luke said? So did John commit perjury? Or did Matthew, Mark, and Luke commit perjury? Now remember, they are giving testimony. They're giving testimony about JC the Christ figure's life. And you are expected to accept JC as your Savior based upon these gentlemen's testimony. So the issue is, have they committed perjury, fraud? And if they committed perjury on one thing, lawfully we need to discard everything that they said because they are known liars. Now that's not open for your opinion. It's not about what you think. We're handling this testimony as we would any other lawful matter coming before us to give judgment. Who is the law? Who occupied the judicial office evermore? Evermore. See, well, let me not go into the Constitution. Y'all come with me. Stay with me. Bullet point number 2. Wait a minute, let me bring this to your attention. So Luke in bullet point number 1 and Mark, one of them committed perjury, right? But we see Luke, I'm sorry, not Mark, but Matthew. But now we see bullet number 2, Luke and Matthew also are appearing to have potentially committed perjury, right? 1. Let me stop there. Let's continue. Let's try to get through this. Let's try to get through this whole subheading. Bullet point number 3. Did JC heal 2 demon-possessed men in the country of the Gerasenes, as Matthew said, or did he heal just 1, as Mark said? Y'all see that? Now this is testimony that you are basing your salvation on. And somebody's definitely lying. The only issue is who. There is fraud here. Nobody can deny that. We're looking at the evidence. Bullet point number 4. Did the crucifixion occur on the day of the Passover, as Matthew, Mark, and Luke testify, or did the crucifixion occur the day before the Passover, as John testified? Oh, this is big. This is big, y'all. This is big because it is Christ's sacrifice that is supposed to save you. He gave his life as a propitiatory sacrifice. That means a sacrifice for once and all time. No more sacrifices have to be made, according to the Christian doctrine. And that is why you are saved, right? That is why the Adamic sin, or you are released from the Adamic sin, according to Christian doctrine. But here, this crucial, fundamental, or essential pillar of Christian theology, there's a lie and a fraud going on amongst the apostles. Amongst his closest followers, there are lies. Now think about this. Let's say you had some children that you love, and you want to make sure that they have a good life and they live forever, and that they have all of these things that Christianity promises in the next life. Are you going to give them stories that's full of lies? But you tell them they need to have faith in you, and if they don't believe in you, then they're worse than an unbeliever. If they don't believe in you, they can't have anything but death or burn in hell. But yet you give them lies, stories that are not firm. They're lies. They got to try to figure things out. Go through being made use of, as they say in Vietnam. When somebody's using you, they'll say they're making use of you. Being abused, searching for the truth, as it were. And everybody's got the truth. Would you do that to your own heir, y'all? Would you put them in such a precarious situation? No, you wouldn't, if you're supposed to be loving, right? Bullet point number 5. Discrepancy or lie number 5. Did the crucifixion begin at 9 o'clock in the morning, as Mark testified, or at midday, as John testifies? So now here you have a lie about the day that the crucifixion happened, and then the time that the crucifixion happened. You got lies. Well, what day was it on? Now remember, you are a defense attorney. You're defending your client in a murder charge. Okay, the prosecution is going to come in. You're going to have a field day, right? The prosecution will say, well, okay, well, he was killed on the Passover at 12. And then you're going to come in and bring in a witness who's going to say what? No, he was killed the day before the Passover at 9 in the morning. Was it 9 in the morning? Yeah, at 9 in the morning. Right? So now you can use that, can't you? You can use that to get your client free, right? You can say, well, I mean, you can come up with all kind of stuff to get your client off the hook. Right? So the day and even the time is not firm. The apostles are lying about that. Does that hurt y'all to hear me say that the apostles are lying, that they committed perjury, or at least one or more of them committed perjury, fraud? Are y'all starting to see why there are lies in the Judeo-Christian justice system? It's based on lies. Right? Bullet point number 6. Is it really possible that the normally prudent Romans would risk provoking a riot by executing a popular Jewish preacher? Y'all see that? Jewish, that's religion. In contrast to bloodline, at the time of the Passover, when Jerusalem would be bursting with pilgrims from around the world. Doesn't that make sense, y'all? Would these politically savvy Romans, according to the story, assassinate a Jewish preacher when they got tens of thousands of Jews coming into the city for Passover, the most holy day of the year, and they're just going to assassinate someone, crucify him? No. If they're astute, they would wait, right? They would wait until all those people are gone. Because if they do it in front of all of those people, not only are they going to be mad and have a riot, but when they go back home, they're going to have eyewitness accounts to the story. And people are going to be lit up and want to fight, right? Which will cause instability. But more important than that, the Romans and their families would be scared to walk out on the street at night without getting themselves expired. Hunter the Mortal, peace and shalom. Islam to all the Moors. Good to see you. Y'all see how this is ridiculous when you think about it. Okay, the next point. Is it really possible during the busiest liturgical season of the year, that's Passover, the high priest would occupy themselves plotting the execution of JC? Now remember, thousands, tens of thousands of people are going to come into Jerusalem from all over the world. They're going to be sacrificing bulls and all kind of animals, whatever they're sacrificing, right? They got to deal with what they're going to do with the urine of all of these animals, the vomit, right? The intestinal, the stomach content. Let's call it vomit. Y'all know that stinks something terrible. The urine stinks something terrible. And the feces. Unbearable smell. They have to have somewhere. You're talking about sacrificing thousands or probably tens of thousands of animals. You got to deal with all of that urine, all of that stomach content, all of that feces, the horrible smell. Y'all ever smell cow manure? Just one? Multiply that by 5,000, 10,000, 20,000. Y'all ever smell farm animal manure, poop, urine? Imagine what that smells like. Now, how are they going to keep the air fresh? If y'all live by a pig farm, or go watch a video about people who live near pig farms and the awful smell, the unbearable smell that they have to endure. And many people, they just move away if they can, because they cannot tolerate the stench. But not only that, they got to deal with the smell and the stench, but they also have to manage how they're going to do all of these slaughter. How are they going to slaughter all of these animals? Can y'all imagine what they look like? They're full of blood all over them, poop, stomach content all over them, because they're slaughtering all of these animals. Remember, it's the Passover, one day. It's not like they got 2 weeks or a month. Tens of thousands of people are flooding into the city. They're bringing their animal sacrifices. All right, y'all? So they got to manage all of that. They got to manage the traffic flow of all of these people. They got to manage the money changers, all of that activity. But number one, they have to manage the poop, the urine, and the stomach content and the stench, and to ensure what? That it doesn't infect or contaminate the water supply, and so that people don't get infections, so that there's no epidemic to occur from all of that poop. Y'all see what I'm saying? Have y'all ever thought about that? So there's a major public health crisis that could potentially happen. Which has to be managed. Where are they going to put all of this stuff? Let's say they burn the animals or whatever they're going to do with it. Where are they going to store all of this stuff? They got bodies on top of bodies waiting to be burned. I mean, come on, y'all. But they're going to have time to think about how they're going to assassinate JC, the Christ figure. Okay, now let's continue. The last bullet point. What is it that the Apostle Paul, with the single exception of his account of the Last Supper in 1 Corinthians 11, so we're talking about Paul, and we're talking about the Last Supper in 1 Corinthians 11, never referred to an incident in the life of JC, even when it would have helped his case immeasurably to do so. Wow. Y'all got that? I need to read that again. Why is it that the Apostle Paul, why is it that the Apostle Paul, with the single exception of his account of the Last Supper in 1 Corinthians 11, never refers to an incident in the life of JC? Paul only brought up JC's life, or an incident rather, in JC's life once, and that was at the Last Supper recorded in 1 Corinthians 11. After that, according to the author, Paul never talked about JC, any incident in his life, even when it would have helped his case immeasurably to do so. That's a very good question. Why is it that Paul only talked about one incident in JC's life, which was the Last Supper? Other than that, he didn't. That's a very good question. Well, let's see what he has to say. For example, in Paul's account of his dispute, or of JC's dispute with Peter over Gentile Christians, y'all go check Galatians 2 and 3. Why did Paul not mention JC's cure of the centurion's servant? JC cured the centurion's servant. Go read that at Matthew chapter 8, verse 5 through 13. Why didn't Paul talk about it? Or the instruction at the end of Matthew's Gospels to, quote, go and make disciples of all the nations, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you, end quote. Go check that at Matthew chapter 28, verse 19 and 20. Why didn't Paul talk about these things? Bring it up. It would have been to his advantage. Those are very good questions. Did Paul know of these traditions? So the question is, did Paul even know about these stories? Because y'all remember, Paul was not part of the original 12, and he never met JC during his life, according to the story. Could it be that the Gospels come from a source of which Paul was entirely unaware? In other words, Paul wrote his stuff, Paul wrote his stories initially, and then later somebody else edited Paul's works and added JC in there? Or Paul edited his own works and added JC in there? I don't know. If you know, I would love to know. But these are very good questions. Very, very good questions. If y'all are going to believe this testimony of any of these witnesses, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, If you're going to believe any of it, you have to acknowledge that one or more of them has committed perjury, meaning that some of their testimony is fraudulent. And therefore cannot be trusted, and everything that they said has to be thrown out because they're a known liar. In which case, if you're believing that these stories are historical, and you have accepted JC as your personal savior, well, you did that how can I say this? You accepted JC as your savior, but there was information that was withheld from you. Or was it withheld? Actually, it was not withheld from you. It's your reading comprehension skills are low, and you never picked this up. Or your analytical skills, your attention to detail is insufficient and you never picked these things up. Or you are indifferent and you don't care one way or the other. You just accepted it because it's cool, or because that's what you learned at birth, or because you want to make friends and make money. So you became a Christian, or you start going to whatever. In any case, their testimony is right there for you to read. So the failure for you to perceive this is your fault. But I could make exception because you are under a spell. Even as I was under a spell, right? And so you've been blinded. So maybe it is. So maybe it's true that you did accept JC as your savior without being given all of the evidence. It was done in fraud. All right? It was done in fraud. So what are you going to do? What are you going to do now that you see that there's perjury and fraud in these stories? Are you going to learn more? Are you going to begin to learn about nature and natural law? Are you going to begin to harmonize your life, your thinking, your behavior, and your speech with natural law? That's what following the Most High's commandments means. When you harmonize with nature and you begin to speak the law language of nature, you proclaim your nationality. That just means you make public notice that you know who you are. You know your bloodline. You know your landmass. Your birthrights or your rights are connected to the land, your nationality. So your nationality, in addition to the Constitution for the United States of North America, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1836. Go back to the Constitution. Diversity of citizenship. Go back to the preamble. You are a people, one of the people. You are a beneficiary of that trust agreement, and it is a trust agreement. And treaties are the supreme law of the land. And that is where your wealth is. That is how to get your blessings right now. Even though we are not being taken right now back as a people, back into the promised land, that is a way to individually get your blessings. I'm not talking about a relationship or a feeling. I'm talking about land. Land that rightfully belongs to you by birthright. By land grant, held in trust by the Most High. For your benefit. And all of the operations of the U.S. Republican form of government, hence this democracy that they're pushing, is to benefit you once you are in your proper status. Right now you are civilly dead. You cannot inherit. You have no rights. You only have privileges and benefits. You are property. Just as it is said in Genesis chapter 1, you are goyim. You are goyim. You're nothing but cattle. You're nothing but cattle, goyim, in your present state as a stateless person. You're outside of nature. You're outside of the Constitution, meaning you have no constitutional protections, which is why you're at their mercy whenever you come in contact with the colonists and their Moorish minions. You're at their mercy. You get a beat down or you get shot, or you get disrespected, etc. Is that clear, Moors? So, the book of the law, the Constitution rather, is based upon natural law, principles, and concepts that are presented, clearly demonstrated in the book of the law. So if you understand the book of the law, if you know where the natural law, principles, concepts are, you can use that to understand the Constitution better, to understand the treaties better. If you understand that JC is the literal sun in the sky, the disk in the sky, and his 12 apostles are the 12 zodiac signs, and you understand the characteristics of the zodiacs, if you understand the Hermetic Principles behind those operations or how they function, then you can go into a book like the Circle 7, Quran, or any of the books that Prophet Noble Drew Ali used to compile it, the Aquarian Gospel, etc. You can go into those books and understand exactly what they're talking about, because it's not talking about a historical JC or Jesus. It's talking about natural law. So Curry Mayo did a video about the Circle 7 Quran. And in that video, he read from one of the chapters, maybe it was chapter 19, I don't know. But he read an excerpt where it was JC talking to, I think it was Apollo, talking to the deity Apollo. Well, y'all know that JC is the sun, and Apollo is also the sun. So the Son and the Father are one, right? There's a Trinity, right? But at the end part of what Curry Mayo read, JC said that he has given, let me get his words right. He says, now I'm presenting to you, or something like that, the title to your land, the title to your vast estate. If you don't know the astrology, if you don't know the astrotheology, if you don't know the natural law concepts, if you don't know the mythology, then you will not realize what he just said to you. He wasn't talking about some historical religious stories and mythology. He was talking about the title to your vast estate. In other words, here's the title, you get your land back. You go get your land back. How do you do that? You do that through learning natural law and living natural law. What else did he tell you? He said, be yourself and know yourself. Know who you are. Study yourself. Because it's through studying yourself that you will learn that you are the land. That you are the manifestation of the land. Genesis chapter 2, verse 7. Therefore, land and law cannot be separated. Land is the substance and subject matter of the law. The vast estate is held in trust. That trust cannot be broken. Y'all got that? That's Deuteronomy chapter 30. That's the return of your stuff. The beginning process. The beginning process of returning to the Most High is to start keeping His commandments. Means you follow natural law. That means you behave honorably. When you behave honorably and you do that over time, you educate yourself, you become what? Enlightened, like the sun. You become the Christ. You become the Christ. Y'all see these correlations? And then you become one with what? You become one with the universe, because you are the universe condensed or localized into your fleshly body. But you are cosmically connected. So if anybody's asking, now I'm not a member of the Moorish Science Temple or any other club like that. I'm just explaining, showing you how to use astrotheology and natural law to understand these documents. They are not historical stories. And Noble Drew Ali was not pushing Christianity or mixing Christianity with the Islamic faith. He wasn't doing that. He's giving you natural law, which was presented by our ancient foremothers and forefathers, who are also Coptic Egyptians, who preserved knowledge of the cosmos in what we call the Gospels. And the Gospels have been edited. Y'all see this? I hope y'all see it. Let me know. Put something in the comments if y'all understand what I'm trying to communicate here. So you must know astrotheology, because astrotheology is teaching you about nature, cosmology. And I'll tell you another thing, cosmic energy can be directed. Harnessed and directed to influence and to maintain a global mindset or paradigm, which is exactly what the Catholic Church is doing right now, but in a negative way. Do y'all see it? I'm gonna look at the chat for a minute, y'all. Somebody put something in the comment section. Let me know if y'all understand what I'm saying, or if this is going over your head. Or if it's not going over your head, if I did not communicate it clearly. If I didn't, I'll try it again. If you have any questions, put it in the comment section. So our next subheading is going to be the historical JC, the Christ figure. Now remember, the matter at issue here is historical JC versus allegorical JC. The Gospels are allegorical versus the Gospels are historical. The original Gospels, as you all should remember by now, were written by the Coptic Egyptians to preserve, by hiding, to preserve cosmological science, preserved in an allegorical story that you'd have to know the cipher to in order to understand what's being talked about there. The historical JC remixed that. They remixed that, created an anthropomorphical deity, and remixed it and said it's history. The Gnostic says, hey, wait a minute, this stuff is not history, and you know it's not history. It is, in fact, telling the story of the sun, the disk in the sky, its annual journey into and out of each of the constellations. There are 12. So the sun is born in a virgin. The sun is coming up in Virgo. That's what that means. That's all it means. Right? And then it dies in a woman. Virgo. Christ's ministry was 1 year. When you understand that the Gospels are an allegorical story, simply talking or teaching about cosmology, the Zodiac. Christ's ministry is 3 years in the historical story. Clear? JC began his ministry at 30, meaning that the sun enters into each constellation at 30 degrees, and Christ's ministry ends at 33 because the sun exits each constellation at 33 degrees. Is that clear? Hence you have 30 degrees of Freemasonry. So is Masonry a bad thing? No. It didn't become bad until it was taken over. Well, let me not say taken over, corrupted. Until it was corrupted. All right? So who's the main organization that's done all of this damage? It is the Brotherhood of Saturnalia, or the Brotherhood of Saturn. All right? Who are they worshiping? Saturn. The dark priest, or the dark priesthood. Correlate to Jeremiah chapter 8, verse 8. The easiest verse, the easiest translation in my opinion, to understand is the Amplified Bible version. It will show you that lies have been written into the book of the law, which is why we need to rewrite the book of the law, which is why I'm asking all of y'all to support with your finance, no matter what country you're in. My PayPal is paypal.me/Zion Law School. PayPal.me/Zion Law School. So send in your support so I can have enough resources available to focus full time. It's not an easy project. It's not a 6-month or even a 1-year project. Bible translators have whole teams that they pay to do their translations. All right, but we need our own. I hope I'm demonstrating or have demonstrated to this successfully to everyone by now. All right, so start speaking natural law jurisdiction. All right, y'all? stop speaking Christianity and other religious language and concepts and quoting their scriptures, because you admit publicly through your own words that you are under the jurisdiction of the Dogon. Remember, that's the world of the dead. Remember, in the Christian jurisdiction, you are civilly dead. You are a 14th Amendment citizen. That's a capital C. You are a corporation. Yes, you're a corporation. You have benefits and privileges that can be taken away from you at any time. And by the way, Moors can never be citizens. So they're even tricking you with that. Moors can never be citizens. There's a lawful reason for that. 2, 3 that I can think of. Roro says, I saw the video. I'll send you my WhatsApp. Okay, so that's an old one. All right. So Islam to all the Moors. I'm Dr. Yasapa. Y'all make sure y'all buy my books. I've written several books on Ancient Ibaryath. It is my knowledge of linguistics and philology that enables me or empowers me to see what I see and to do what I do. I've put a class together, 101 Ancient Ibaryath, that demonstrates Ancient Ibaryath, demonstrates the language. Some of y'all call it Paleo Hebrew. Some of the absolutely mind-blowing, amazing things that you can discover by knowing Ancient Ibaryath. My goal is to make all of you who want to be able to translate the documents, the book of the law, on your own. You don't need a teacher. That's what I would want to do. That's my goal. All right? I'm not interested in what you believe or your doctrine. I could care less. But I want the best for you. My books are in the description area of this video. Click on the links. Buy my books from my website, zionlawschool.org. Don't buy them on Amazon because Amazon takes too much money. All right? So y'all help me get the funding to get this project off the ground. Talk to people about it. Tell other people about it. Watch the Ancient Ibaryath videos. I have the word of the day. I have many videos on many topics in the Bible. Y'all start watching my content and you'll see just how powerful a knowledge of Ancient Ibaryath makes you. It opens your eyes. Islam and Shalom.